and good evening. I'm Bob Branco. Welcome once again to Branco Broadcast. Back with us again for another appearance, Casandra Xavier. She's here to talk about some new project that she's been working on to make people aware of things that happen during travel that are pretty unpleasant. And I'm going to have her talk about that and also a little bit about shame talkers, what happens with that. Casandra, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
So you can give us a brief presentation, and then we'll ask you questions when you're finished.
Okay. So the project I'm working on that involves traveling and all the unpleasant experiences would be based on my bill that I will be going to a hearing for tomorrow, December 5th, at the State House from 12 to 5:30 p.m. 5:30 p.m. And so the bill is basically an act relative to disability awareness training, whereas there will be enhanced trainings on for Massachusetts employees and, government workers to learn how to, and airport employees especially, to learn how to, work with people who have disabilities, or even just people in general when it comes to traveling through airports. Sometimes people come up with equipment that costs thousands of dollars being damaged even after having asked for these employees to be very careful with these equipment, and yet it still turns out to be broken. Some people are not fortunate enough to have these things replaced because some agency had provided this to them. They were not able to afford this on their own. Like, for example, a Braille display. A lot of us who are blind and visually impaired right now know how much these things cost. And it's not something that you can easily just shell out the money for. These things cost thousands of dollars. And for somebody to come from, TSA or something like that to just carelessly jostle your bags around, it just doesn't help the situation any better, and it definitely doesn't make traveling any fun.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not just for people who are blind. It's for people with all kinds of disabilities, or just, people who carry expensive equipment that they need and they rely on a day-to-day basis. Having had this happen, nothing being done about it. So the popular question that's always being asked to me is, what are you going to do about it? So I did something about it. I went to my house. I went to my representatives, and I proposed an idea to create some legislation to make trainings like this even more possible. I know there are thousands of other legislations like this, but mine sticks out differently. Mine stands out so much differently in such a way that, I'll tell you why. Most of these trainings happen, and they're done out of, textbook experiences. But mine is going to be where people like us can actually witness these things happening. We can provide constructive criticism and say, that's not how it should be done. Or you can make it better by trying this instead of going out of a textbook. That way, they will get to experience what it really is like to be us on a day-to-day basis traveling. Or you synthesize a certain disability on someone who does not have a disability, and we give them, maybe a few hours to experience what it's like to be us. Synthesizing blindness, or synthesizing someone being in a wheelchair, or synthesizing, someone who has autism and doesn't like to be touched or something at all. Those things that are triggers when they are out and about traveling in the airports. I want this to become federal legislation.
Wow.
Okay, and the hearing is tomorrow the 5th. Tell us who is going to be presiding at the hearing?
As far as I know, the folks that will be there at the hearing is going to be my state rep, Michael Moran, and the Committee on Children and Persons and Families with Disabilities. The committee and Michael Moran.
Oh, good luck with that. Also, you also have another tie-in to this, and we talked about this the other day, Casandra. You mentioned, you call them shame talkers. I know exactly who you mean when you say shame talkers. That's a different expression that I had not heard of before.
Okay.
But you can tell us what that's all about and how you've experienced shame talking, for lack of a better term.
Oh, yes, shame talkers. That's based off of my blog that I published some time ago. So basically, I had gotten the opportunity to be at the Massachusetts State House, and, being that I'm the only person that's dealing with blindness in that area at the moment, at the time, my supervisor and everyone else around me are sighted people. And, they've never really worked with blind, visually impaired, or deafblind people like myself before. So this was a learning experience. Seeing how I'm very independent and I'm very self-directed and I can sort things out on my own. Some individuals feel the need to, shoulder surf at times. And, it just happened to be that July 7th, while I was at the State House doing this opportunity, my legislation got filed, and I found the letter. And naturally, anyone who finds these things, and they've been working hard on it, is very happy for themselves. They're happy about the outcome of this. They've never done anything like this before in their lives, and so it's right for someone to feel good about themselves. So the supervisor comes along and waits for other people to go away to come out and shame talk me and tell me that everything I'm doing is not good, or, it's going too fast, and they need to be able to micromanage what it is I'm doing. But first of all, this has been going on before I knew this opportunity was going to happen for me. So he did not need to say anything about anything if it had nothing to do with him. What made it worse, the shame talking got even more worse, like it became even more annoying, was when State House News came over to the office area to interview me for my bill and my legislation. They liked it, so they wanted to find out more about me and what was going on. So I said yes, they can come to the office. The supervisor wanted to be there so that he could, whatever his intentions were, but unfortunately, or should I say fortunately, he was not able to be there to interrupt or shame talk. So the interview was successful. I left and he came back, and when I came back that following Monday, he decided he wanted to pull me aside and shame talk me and tried to make me feel bad about what I was doing. And he said to me that if I kept doing all this stuff and all these things would kept happening very quickly, I was going to be forgotten about and nobody was even going to remember me and all this other stuff. And I thought that was just absolute baloney. And I thought that he was just the only one that was absolutely jealous, because me being the person with dual impairment and, doing all this stuff single-handedly, and him not having any disability at all or understanding anything about what it means to be disabled, comes along and tries to ruin my comfort, which then I started to feel like my internship was tainted because of him.
Wow.
Okay, well, I'm going to open the floor, unless you have anything else to add. I'm going to open the floor to questions, and I'm going to have one person at a time, and I'll call out the name. Do you have anything else, first of all?
No.
All right. Jeffrey, do you have a question
Yeah.
for Casandra Xavier?
Okay, Xavier. So what's the outcome? Are you going to have this guy who shame-talked you fired?
I could not figure out who to go to because his boss was never really around. And it's like he had this way of getting people to join the bandwagon of making me feel bad about what I was doing.
But you don't.
Huh?
You didn't feel you embarrassed the heck out of him.
He did. I did.
It sounds like you did, or you felt like it.
Well, if I embarrassed him, I didn't know. All he needed to do was stay out of my way and stop heel riding. Because this was going on before I knew about him.
Whoa.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Marcy.
Going back to this person that was trying to shame you, was he just a big bully, or were there other people formed with him?
He tried to get other older interns and my vocational rehab counselor to join in the shame talking.
Mm-hmm.
But the other interns were more interested in doing their own stuff and not getting involved. And the VR counselor kind of sort of sided with him and decided it was going to be appropriate to just pop up anytime he wanted.
Because I know when I was working for a hospital, they had a tight schedule on me, and they had it timed, and it was like they were babysitting me. And they would call me, I would be wearing a beeper, and they would say, "Why aren't you at the other spot?" And I would say, "Well, do you want this done right or wrong?"
A beeper?
Yeah, I wore a beeper.
That's bizarre.
Yeah.
Huh.
Oh, my God.
So I can understand what you're saying.
I mean, this guy, when you're sitting there at lunch by yourself like you like it, somehow out of everybody, that room is pretty big at a certain place. It's a pretty big room.
Oh, yeah.
How does he notice
I know. It's huge.
It's a big space. How does he notice you? But then I forget he's fully sighted. So, of course, he's got the long-range vision.
Right.
Radar.
Okay, Michael.
Okay, hi. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. Hi, Cassandra. I can relate to your situation. I live in a building where, I try to walk around by myself. I'm not only just totally blind, but hard of hearing, and I'm getting my mobility back. And when I walk around, the people get mad because I don't have an aid. And I had things happen with the building a few times. Once I almost sued the building because they didn't like me going out. They tried to claim that they were responsible for me. They were liable for me. And they even had a meeting with my mother. I wasn't invited. And then they tried to tell me that they were going to evict me. I called an attorney. I won. The attorney told them that if they didn't change the decision, it would be in the courtroom. And what I'm getting now is, number one, people also telling me I need some people telling me I need an aid, or someone's telling me this place is not for the blind. So I can understand where you're coming from, and I give you a lot of credit for it. And if there's anything I could do to help, let me know. I'm in Miami.
Oh, yeah. My home state.
Okay, Stephen.
Hi, Cassandra. I heard your introspective talk, and I had a lot of thoughts on it. My first thought is, I think you're doing a great job in Massachusetts, but I would suggest that the next step would be going to the federal representatives and senators in Washington. And my second point was that as far as shame talking, I won't mention any names, but there was someone at the Carroll Center. And, yeah, it's infuriating and it bothers me, but I've changed my mindset to say I'm going to prove them wrong. I've had that all my life. And the third thing was, like you were talking about it being in the news, I went to the Library Author Day a couple months ago, and the news covered it as blind author has a visually impaired superhero in his book. I said, I didn't write it that way, but that makes good press. So you got to think out of the box. And I know we're just normal people and all that, but I think the media and most people don't milk the media cow. Do whatever you have to do to get in there. If they want to call you Wonder Woman, let them. At least you'll be out there.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's good luck. Unfortunately, I'll be working tomorrow because I would probably go to the State House and check that out.
Oh, yeah. That would
So
be
good luck.
Cool.
Keep us posted.
Thank you. I certainly will. I'm going to be on Facebook about it, too.
Oh, yeah. I see it all the time. You're doing a lot of hard work.
Tricia.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. I think you're awesome, Cassandra. I think what you're doing is absolutely wonderful, and I can't wait till it goes countrywide in all states. I can't wait for that. So I'll be one of your biggest supporters. I'm here in Michigan, and we have a lot of issues in Michigan also. I run into people that have been the same talkers and all that, or they believe that I'm completely deaf because I'm blind, and they, I wonder what she's doing, how she's doing that. Well, why don't you ask me? I'm not stupid. Deaf people aren't stupid. They understand you, and believe me, they'll know some sign language to give you sighted people, But I think that's awesome what you're doing, and I'm behind it 1,000%. I wish you great luck with everything.
Thank you so much. And by the way, I do plan to visit Michigan at some point.
Awesome.
You guys have some wonderful art exhibitions there, and I want to check it out.
Cool. That'll be great.
Let them wait.
Karen.
Yes, I think, Cassandra, your speech was good. And one thing I've learned throughout my life, I'm in my 60s, is when people tell you you can't do something, I often turn around and I think to myself, well, I'll find a way to do it. And I've been able to do that in some way throughout my life. When I graduated from high school, they didn't think I'd go to college, and I did. And so I'd say just keep going with your work and everything, and I hope everything goes well for you.
Thank you so much for the support and the kind words.
Okay, Jay?
All right.
Thank you, Bob. Sandra, you certainly did a very good job with your presentation, and as always takes one person to start things and to go all the way. As we learn in the philosophy, they say you have a duty to delight. And so therefore, I think you did a good job on that and continue the same path because your energy and determination obviously will make everything you're looking for at the end result. I know it's going to take time because lobbying and, going on. Now, I have a question for you. In your traveling with the
hang on 1 second. Whoever's ruffling the paper, please mute while you're doing that. Thank you. Go ahead, Jay. You can ask your question now.
Yeah, that's right. It is ruffling. So, Xavier, did you have any damage?
Please have the ruffling muted, please. Thank you. 4-star. Person ruffling the paper. 4-star, please. 4-star. Thank you.
Sound like they don't even know what 4-star means.
Please mute your phone.
Give me 5-star for that.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Sandra, you're traveling with the airport. Did you have any experience or damage any of your equipment?
This is really weird.
And what did start this?
Well,
I got some equipment damage. I had to literally have the program that gave me the equipment send it in for repair, and it took months to get it fixed. Yeah.
Yeah, that is the cause of it. So you did good.
Mhm.
Well, I wish you good luck for tomorrow, but definitely we need people like you to have something, obviously, to trigger you, and then that certainly did it, and continue on, because end result will benefit the rest of us, U.S.
I agree. That's what I said.
Wow.
It will benefit everyone.
All right, thank you, Jay. Alice.
Hello, Cassandra, and I wish you much good luck with your efforts. And it's been interesting hearing about how you've gone about trying to bring forth this new legislation for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And I just can remember some of the instances that I've had to deal with, and one was the flight that was the last flight of a particular unnamed airline that I took with that airline, and then it wasn't more than a couple of months later, and I was trying to get the issue resolved, and that airline was purchased by another company and then was no more, so all of my efforts went to the wayside after that. But
oh my goodness.
I think for the one person who I felt, flight attendant, who treated me very, very inappropriately throughout the entire flight, I can say that there have been flight attendants and skycaps who have been just absolutely wonderful. And so, it's just that one bad apple, as in so many businesses and so forth, that prompts one to action. But certainly, we need to also give thanks and appreciation to the many, many who are working in those fields who do treat us with the kindness and respect that everyone deserves. So thank you for all what you're doing.
Thank you.
All right, do we have any new check-ins? Well, we still have some time. Does anybody want to ask another question?
Yes, I'd like to make a comment.
Michael?
Okay. I love this program tonight because I do a program Tuesday nights on a chat line called The Blind Side of Living, and I may be expanding it. And, it's interesting that if you go into a situation, let's say you go to a party or you go somewhere and you had a lousy time and you try to tell sighted people the situation that nobody either talked to them or you were ignored or something, a lot of sighted people don't seem to understand. They say, oh, you're making a big thing about it or something like that.
Or they think your experience is fictional.
Yeah, when people come up to me and they say to somebody, what would he like? Instead of getting mad, I'll say, let me ask him.
Yeah.
Or I kind of I try to make it as a joke because I try to help them, try to help the sighted people. But the problem is, I don't think not everybody that's sighted, because my parents were teachers. My dad taught mobility at one time, and my mom was a teacher. She's still living. She's 94. I think what it is a lot of sighted people just don't understand us in every way.
Yeah.
That's the way I feel about it.
Yeah.
I agree.
Thank you.
I had a thought on that.
Steve?
I know, we can generalize, and I've had a lot of bad experiences too, and it's now it's so they don't understand us, so I'm going to make them understand. I'm going to go around and talk to people. Some people might not want to talk to me, but I'm just going to put myself out there as, quote, normal, unquote, as I can be, have normal conversations. That way they'll be because I think if you kind of feel, I mean, I understand it because I've felt that way many times, and sometimes I still feel that way, like isolated or people are ignoring you. But if you just sit there in a corner, it's not because you're blind, it's because you're quiet and they just forget about you. So it's like get that squeaky wheel to get the grease, and it's like just put yourself out there, be yourself, and then the disability becomes secondary. And then people, I mean, it's not all the time, but people then will want to talk to you more. So it's a two-way street, because if you put it all on the sighted people, you're not going to get anywhere, because it's like they don't understand. They might feel uncomfortable, but if you just sit there in the corner, and it's frustrating, but you're going to feel, that you're being left out and say, I'm going to start a conversation. And you don't always strike out, hit a home run, but at least if you're in the game, people are going to notice you, like you are, Casandra. People might be upset or uncomfortable with what you're doing, but when you march on Washington with this, people are going to really notice you.
Oh, yeah. Well, you're going to have to do what you need to do. Because that's the way it's got to be.
Yep.
Steve has a point about being put in the, going out and being put in the middle. I mean, I go out, like Steve and I, we go out to a restaurant. I always make sure we're not put in a corner. I ask to be put in the middle of the restaurant.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Plus, it's easier for me to see.
I know, but if you want to have it private, you better go to the corner. I'm only kidding.
Excuse me.
Sandra.
I just want to make a comment.
Okay, what we're going to do, folks, Jeffrey, Jay, and Karen in that order.
All right,
Jeffrey,
sure.
go ahead.
Cassandra, I might as well tell you something that about a generation ago, as I was crossing Vine and 15th and in Cincinnati, trying to get the bus, I was hit by a truck. I was out of the crosswalk. So the officer fined me for jaywalking, and I don't know if you heard it, but because of that, I was ticketed for $66, but I didn't get to pay it because ended up in the hospital. But it not only did it make it made local, national, world, and national news because of that.
Wow.
Amazing.
That's cool.
January 22nd, 1997.
20 years ago.
Yep.
21. Yeah.
21. Jay, I think you had a question.
Yeah, I was going to say, Sandra, you mentioned that you did the internship in the State House. Is that correct? Well, were you doing an intern there?
Yes.
What was your subject?
My specialty was constituent specialty.
On a undergraduate or graduate level?
Neither.
Neither?
Right.
This was like a special course you were taking?
No, this was just an internship.
In other words, that you were trying to get intern part of your bachelor degree?
It wasn't from any of it at all.
Oh, I see. Oh, okay. Thank you.
All right, Karen.
Well, two things. Sandra, I wanted to ask, what type of job do you have now? Do you work in the State House now?
No.
Okay. Another thing I wanted to say was, I like to educate people about blindness, elderly people, people in my complex. I like to bake, I like to cook, and I like to educate people about how I do things. And I think it's really nice to be able to do that and be able to teach people, because a lot of people have no concept as to how we do everyday things. And I think it's really great to be able to educate people about this kind of stuff.
I agree. It would be a good idea to be able to educate more people about blindness.
And was there anyone else? I thought I heard, was it Tricia or Alice? Somebody had a question after Karen. I don't know who it was, but it's your turn. I have one for you, Casandra. Obviously, we have people on the line tonight from all over the country, Michigan, Florida, certain other parts of the country, Ohio. I know you're starting this legislation off in Massachusetts, and that's commendable. What would be a way to get the feds involved? Because obviously you could make this a federal mandate.
I would begin to reach out to people in Washington, doing emails and phone calls on a consistent basis, start getting this recognized, and also having people from other states tell their representatives about this legislation and begin to spread it out that way until it makes its way to federal grounds.
Wow.
That's one of my techniques. I already have it planned out.
I know we haven't heard this on the news, and it sounds to me like a newsworthy item.
I agree. It definitely does.
You know?
If you get that right spin on there, they'll pick it up. I'll be thinking about ways to, because the media is very,
oh yeah,
quick, fast. They want, how do we present it to them? It's like either disabled people are helpless or they're, superheroes.
Or they're superheroes.
So like I said, if they think you're exceptionally wonderful, just take the ride and at least you'll get your legislation out there.
I agree.
They had a name for me as Blind Mike in Miami.
Blind Mike in Miami.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
They used to call me Blind Mike. This guy near Rogers. And when a few months ago a talk host in the South Florida area was talking about the situations going on in the airplanes with a couple with a blind child, with a sighted child, and the couple was blind. They were asking questions like, well, what does he see? Does he see anything? What do they see? How do they do it? What do blind people, all kinds of stuff. I tried to get on the air a few times, couldn't get on the air, waited and waited, and they never put me on. It's like the media, they have two ways of looking at blind people or disabled people, like either they make fun or they don't want to, they think that it would make the public feel too bad about us.
Well, if that's them wanting to make, if, they all start to feel bad, this is the time for them to let us talk so that they can learn the different perspectives.
You're right.
Yeah, they need to let us have our say.
Yeah.
What would be the best case scenario tomorrow? Say this passes by this committee that's meeting at noontime. This passes, let's say. Now what would be the next step?
We start heading towards federal grounds. We start not only heading towards the federal grounds, we start looking for media coverage to spread more awareness while in the act of going towards federal level.
Yeah.
Is there a website for this?
To go to the federal level?
No, your work.
I use my Facebook.
Yeah.
So if anybody wants to follow you with this endeavor, they just go on your page?
Yes.
Wow.
Okay, and is your page just Casandra Xavier?
Yes.
How do you spell that?
I'll spell it. My first name is Casandra, Casandra, and my last name is Xavier. X like X-ray, A, V like Victor, I-E-R.
For those of you with JAWS, don't pay attention to how JAWS pronounces it. Just follow Sandra's
I never thought of that. Yeah. Yep.
What kind of name is that? I never heard a name like this. Is it Caribbean?
Something like that.
Okay.
Well, good luck tomorrow, and hopefully better things will happen as a result, that the awareness training will happen for staff at the airports to make them realize that a lot of our items that we must bring on an airplane are fragile, must be handled with care, and frankly are very expensive. You can't replace them very easy.
Right.
People should be made aware of this, and you're helping that to happen.
Yeah. Thank
you for being with us this evening.
Thanks for having me on, and thanks for the motivation.
Best of luck.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Yeah, good luck.
Thank you.